Imagine Jerusalem, 180 AD. The city has risen from ashes, yet tension lingers. Roman soldiers march through streets where Solomon's temple once stood. And amidst the ruins, an 80-year-old man is about to make history. Most men retire at 60, some at 70. Narcissus was just beginning. This is the story of a man who turned water into oil, disappeared into the desert, and returned to lead a fractured community when hope seemed lost. But it all started with a lie, a betrayal that almost destroyed him. Narcissus became the 30th bishop of Jerusalem, though it was now called Aelia Capitolina. After Jewish revolts were crushed, Emperor Hadrian banned Jews from the city. The Christian community was small, divided, and recovering from persecution. Bishops didn't last long. Martyrs and political pressure took their toll. Between 117 AD and 180 AD, 27 bishops came and went in just 63 years. Yet Narcissus, at 80, brought energy and wisdom beyond his years. He was strict, holy, and uncompromising, admired and feared alike. 15 years into his service, in 195 AD, a crucial council convened in Caesarea. The question: when should Easter be celebrated? Some wanted to follow the Jewish Passover, others insisted on Sunday. Narcissus and the council chose Sunday, a revolutionary move defining Christianity. But miracles, not politics, would make him legendary. Holy Saturday arrived, the night before Easter, when oil lamps were essential. The deacons realized there was no oil. Without oil, there would be darkness in the most sacred night. Panic spread, then Narcissus spoke calmly. "Draw water from the well," he instructed. The deacons hesitated. "Water, it cannot burn." But they obeyed. Narcissus prayed over the water. Then he poured it into the lamps. Miraculously, it turned into oil. Pure, clean burning oil that lit the entire church. Eusebius later wrote that some of this oil was preserved as a relic. Witnessing this, people would believe anything was possible. But miracles cannot shield you from human envy. Narcissus had enemies, powerful ones, who resented his strictness. 3 men in particular decided to destroy him with lies. They swore oaths to make their lies credible: death by fire, leprosy, or blindness. The community mostly did not believe them, but the accusations were terrifying. Narcissus didn't fight back. He disappeared into the desert, leaving his position, his reputation, his flock behind. For years, no one knew if he was alive or dead. Meanwhile, Jerusalem's church struggled without his guidance. 3 replacement bishops failed to restore stability. And then, something extraordinary happened. The curses on the 3 liars came true. The first man died in a fire, taking his family with him. The second was struck with leprosy, a devastating disease. The third confessed, admitting all the lies, and begged for mercy. Overwhelmed with guilt, he cried until he lost his sight. Word of these events spread quickly. Narcissus was vindicated. He had not lifted a finger. God had defended him. And then, after years in the desert, he returned. Jerusalem rejoiced, and the faithful begged him to resume his duties. Narcissus, now well over 100 years old, faced a daunting task. The city had changed, the Christian community fractured further. He knew he couldn't lead alone anymore, so he prayed for guidance, for assistance. And God sent Alexander of Cappadocia, a young bishop full of vigor. Together, they worked tirelessly, restoring order and faith. Narcissus trained Alexander, teaching him patience and wisdom. He emphasized the importance of compassion and discipline alike. Churches reopened, communities healed, and hope returned. Stories of his miracles continued to inspire new generations. Pilgrims traveled from far and wide to hear him speak. They spoke of the water-turned oil, of his humility and holiness. Narcissus also dealt with practical matters. He settled disputes, guided the poor, and defended the oppressed. His leadership was firm but never cruel, patient but decisive. He knew that a community cannot thrive on fear alone. Through the years, Alexander became a skilled leader in his own right. Together, the 2 men became a symbol of collaboration across generations. Even at extreme age, Narcissus remained active, teaching and inspiring. He often walked the streets, speaking to anyone who sought advice. People described him as a beacon of light in troubled times. He witnessed Jerusalem survive political upheaval and persecution. Every challenge became an opportunity to show faith in action. He also emphasized the importance of education. Young priests were trained not only in scripture, but in practical wisdom. Narcissus believed leadership required both courage and humility. Even miracles, he said, should serve the people, not the leader. Stories spread far beyond Jerusalem, across the Roman Empire. People marveled at a man over 100 leading with energy and clarity. Historians note that he never sought wealth or personal power. Instead, his focus remained entirely on service and faith. Even the emperor heard of his reputation and respected him. He maintained strict moral standards, but always guided with love. Some tried to challenge him, but none could shake his authority. Alexander often remarked on Narcissus' uncanny wisdom. "The man is centuries ahead of his time," he would say. Despite advanced age, Narcissus kept a rigorous daily schedule. He prayed, studied, and met with leaders, sometimes all before sunrise. Even miracles, he insisted, required preparation, patience, and faith. His story became a living testament. Age does not limit impact. People began to call him the miracle bishop for his deeds. The community flourished, trust was restored, and hope returned. Every act he performed strengthened faith and inspired courage. And yet, he remained humble, never claiming glory for himself. Visitors often described him as serene, almost otherworldly. Even when others sought power, Narcissus sought service. For decades, he continued this work, quietly shaping the church. Every miracle, every decision, every lesson was a mark of devotion. And then, after decades of guidance, his life began to naturally wind down. He was now approaching the final chapter, but his legacy was firmly set. As the years passed, Narcissus' steps grew slower, but his mind remained sharp, his spirit unbroken. He spent his days in prayer, guiding Alexander and the faithful. He continued teaching, emphasizing humility, patience, and service. Even simple acts, like comforting the sick or feeding the poor, became lessons in faith for those around him. Pilgrims continued to visit, eager for his blessing. They left with tales of his kindness and miracles. Narcissus' long life became a symbol of endurance and devotion. The church he rebuilt thrived under Alexander's leadership, who carried forward Narcissus' teachings for generations. Historical records suggest Narcissus lived to 116 or 117 years old. Some traditions even claim he reached 160, though this is harder to verify. What's certain is that he died while praying on his knees, still serving his community until the very end. His story carries lessons that remain relevant today. False accusations, jealousy, and public shaming exist in every era. Narcissus' response shows the power of patience and faith. He didn't seek revenge or defend himself aggressively. He trusted that truth would prevail. His story also challenges our notions about age and purpose. He began his greatest work at 80, continued past 100, proving that age cannot limit one's impact. His faithfulness, character, and perseverance were what mattered. Saint Narcissus of Jerusalem is celebrated on October 29th in the Roman Catholic Church and on August 7th in the Eastern Orthodox tradition. He is the patron saint of the elderly and those falsely accused. His life reminds us that miracles still happen. Truth eventually prevails, and it's never too late to answer God's call, even if that call comes when you are 80 years old. Through faith, service, and courage, one life can leave a legacy for centuries. Narcissus' story teaches that true greatness is measured not by power, wealth, or fame, but by the impact on others and unwavering devotion. Every miracle, every decision, every lesson he left behind continues to inspire faith, courage, and hope today. As you reflect on his life, consider what you can do to live with integrity, patience, and devotion. Saint Narcissus' example is timeless, guiding us through challenges, doubts, and the trials of life. Remember the old man who prayed over water and made oil, who walked away from lies and allowed God to act, and who taught that age is never a barrier to purpose. His miracles were not just acts of wonder, but lessons in faith. They remind us that even ordinary moments can become extraordinary with courage and belief. Saint Narcissus of Jerusalem, a beacon of hope, faith, and timeless inspiration.